Council to now adjourn. The Honourable Member for Mersey.
Thank you, Mr President. Just a short contribution. I rise today on adjournment to draw attention to a part of Tasmania's heritage that is both profoundly significant and too often overlooked. It's the Willow Court historic site at New Norfolk. As one of Australia's oldest and most extensive institutional precincts, Willow Court predates even Port Arthur, yet few truly grasp its scale or its significance. The site brings together stories of early settlement, convict transportation and medical care, intellectual disability and mental health care. It bears witness to the lived experience of some of the most vulnerable members of our community. Mr President, it's not simply a colonial relic. It's a living chronicle of social change spanning nearly 2 centuries and increasingly relevant in an era in which we recognise the value of mental health and wellbeing. The history of Willow Court is, however, confronting, complex and uncomfortable, and that very discomfort has too often led to neglect. Places that hold painful stories struggle to attract champions, even when they shape who we are. Willow Court has survived largely through the dedication of a handful of advocates, rather than the sustained public investment it truly deserves. To understand its significance, we must begin before European settlement. The area known as New Norfolk was inhabited by the Linawini people of the Big River Nation, who knew it as Woolwallia. My apologies there. Their custodianship over generations and the trauma wrought by colonisation are part of this place's deeper history. And then in 1807, European settlement began with the relocation of Norfolk Island's population into the area. A very humble early invalid barracks housed sick or injured convicts. And in 1827, Governor Arthur ordered all sick convicts from across the colony to New Norfolk, though Arthur imagined they could be all comfortably lodged at a very trifling expense. The reality was overcrowded and inadequate. Governor Arthur then commissioned a substantial hospital completed in 1833, known as the Invalid Barracks. The imposing building, still standing, was designed by John Lee Archer, who also designed the very building in which we sit today, although I assume with a very different intended purpose. In 1834, Willow Court held over 400 sick and mentally ill convicts. The complex continued to expand, and by the middle of the 20th century, Willow Court and the Royal Derwent Hospital housed around 1,500 patients and employed a similar number of staff. For generations, it was a defining presence in the community. The hospital finally closed its doors around the turn of the millennium, leaving an extensive legacy and woeful, unappreciated history. Mr President, I recently met with Dr Richard Benjamin, consultant psychiatrist and independent advocate for the Willow Court historic site. He stresses that the 6 buildings still owned by the Derwent Valley Council form a core around which a world-class cultural, historical and educational precinct could be developed. These buildings, together with their courtyards, gardens and surrounding landscape, provide a rare opportunity to tell the full story, not only of convict life, but of the thousands who pass through its institutions. Dr Benjamin also highlights the nearby Millbrook Rise Psychopathic Hospital, purpose-built in the 1930s to treat veterans suffering from shell shock, the psychological aftermath of the First World War. This facility offers a rare insight into early military mental health care, adding yet another layer of historical significance. These assessments are echoed by archaeologist and historian Dr Warwick Pearson, who described Willow Court as a rare and highly significant as the only example of an entire 19th century mental institution preserved in its original layout and setting in Australia. Mr President, the site's importance is now internationally recognised. Earlier this year, the Willow Court Heritage Site Advocacy Body became a member of the International Coalition of Sites of Conscience, a global network of former prisons, psychiatric hospitals, conflict zones and other places marked by systemic suffering and social change. This membership explicitly recognises Willow Court's potential as a site of truth-telling, a place where we can confront difficult history, listen to those who lived it, and openly examine how ideas of care, control, disability and human rights have evolved. That truth is complex. Former staff and residents recall compassion, community and quality care, yet there are also painful stories of abuse, separation, restrictive practices and wider legacies of institutionalisation. And yet through it all there are remarkable stories of endurance, strength and resilience, reflecting the human spirit that persisted at Willow Court. The International Coalition asks us to hold these realities together, not to diminish any, but to tell the whole story and to understand why Willow Court matters to our nation. Despite this international recognition and the undeniable potential, the site remains vulnerable. Privately led redevelopments such as the Antique Centre, the New Norfolk Distillery and the widely acclaimed Agrarian Kitchen demonstrate what is possible when heritage and enterprise are thoughtfully combined. But these successes are limited. The great majority of the council-owned buildings are deteriorating, closed and inaccessible due to scarce resources. The Invalid Barracks, Alona, Carlton, Frascati House and the Occupational Therapy Building are all at risk. Frascati House deserves particular attention. Built in 1834, it is the second oldest building at Willow Court. Once the summer residence of the Colonial Secretary John Burnett and for over a century home to successive medical superintendents. It was renowned for its sumptuous interiors, complete with a ballroom and a celebrated garden tended to by patients. After decades of neglect and repeated repurposing, now stands vandalised and semi-derelict. And yet, the local council appears poised to sell Frascati House through an expressions of interest process. While the property is a huge financial burden for the regional council, transferring ownership carries significant risk. Heritage fabric could be lost, the precinct fragmented, and both state and national significance eroded. Such a sale could also set a dangerous precedent for the disposal of other key buildings, undermining the potential of a long-term heritage strategy. Mr President, Willow Court has the potential to complement Port Arthur as an iconic site in Australia's history. Whereas Port Arthur tells the story of punishment and retribution with the penal colony, Willow Court tells the story of care, disability, mental health and the lives of those institutionalised. Together, these sites could present a fuller and more understanding narrative of Tasmania's past. Imagine the potential in a fully restored, sensitively interpreted precinct open to the public, delivering high-quality educational programs that honour the past, offering interactive experiences that deepen engagement, hosting community events and gaining national and international recognition. With strategic planning, investment and effective governance, Willow Court could, within a few years and in a national context, become one of Tasmania's foremost heritage destinations and as a leader in national conversation about human rights and how they shape mental health care and disability in veterans' care. Mr President, the bicentenary of Willow Court rapidly approaches. The site is more than just bricks and mortar. It stands as a testament to human endurance, care and history. Its stories are waiting to be told. Its lessons are waiting to be learned. Mr President, the time for action is now. Time for the state government to step in and do what is necessary to save Willow Court for the community, for our shared history and for future generations.
The question is the Council.